Welcome to our first live training session. Hope everyone's well and at home. I know some of you might be stuck in isolation, but we're going to try and teach you something. So tonight we're going to be doing a little bit about lighting fires without matches, so survival techniques. So these techniques that we're about to go through are only for survival situations, so we're not lighting fires at home. We are only doing it if we're stuck in the bush or if we're at cadets and we've been instructed to and under instruction by the instructors. So Cadet Faulkner is going to be helping me tonight. We're going to be running through some a few different scenarios of how to light fires without matches. As I said, survival situations only. We're not lighting fires at home. So we'll talk a little bit, we're going to go back inside to the PowerPoint and talk a little bit about what is essential for a fire. So have a think about the fire triangle and the 3 things we need for a fire. So you think about it and see if you can answer the question while we pop back inside and look at the PowerPoint. We discussed essential points to a fire. So what do we need a fire for in survival situations? Fire cooks our food, it sterilizes our water and acts as a signal if necessary. So if we're stuck and we're trying to get somebody's attention, light a big fire with lots of smoke. To start a fire, we require an understanding of combustion, which is what are the elements we need. So we just discussed the fire triangle. Hopefully some of you were listening and you could already know the answer to this. But the 3 main aspects are oxygen, heat, and fuel. Okay, we'll discuss this a little bit further. That's the fire triangle there for you. So, fuel. Our fuel's our wood, our tinder, our dry matter, anything we can find, a reactive chemical, kindling, timber, that's what constitutes fuel. Heat. So the heat is what we do providing friction or a chemical reaction or a spark from a flint and steel, or magnification, we're magnifying the sun's rays. And of course, most importantly, oxygen. You need oxygen. If there's no oxygen, you won't be able to start a fire. It's an essential ingredient to produce flame from heat and fuel. So, different types of methods. First one is the torch battery method. Faulkner here's going to help me. So, most of you would have seen one of these before. They're in the big dolphin torches you use them for, or big lights. It's a big 6-volt battery with the 2 exposed terminals, obviously a positive and a negative terminal. So for this to work, what you're doing is you're completing the circuit. Okay, so you're closing these circuits together. So but to do that, we use steel wool. Now, not many of you probably see this at home anymore because not very many people use it, but it's a cleaning product. This one's already got soap on. So you clean your dishes with it or wipe your walls, so it's a steel, so it's a metal. So so what we're going to do is we're going to complete the circuit and we're going to get a bit of a spark. So just a little bit, please, Cadet Faulkner, and you should see, there we go, bit of spark on here. So we'd use that and we would get some tinder, so some cotton wool or some really dry piece of leaves or wood, and once we've got this sparking, we would put it on our tinder and we would create fire, hopefully. So some people have these in their cars because they've all got torches in there, but these are pretty handy. Okay, the next method I believe is a chemical reaction method. So these are often known, or otherwise known as Condy's crystals, but they are potassium permanganate. It's a chemical. So you can use these to disinfect, you can get it from a chemist, disinfect and deodorize certain things, but it can also be used to light fires. We're not going to demonstrate this one because you have to be very careful, but basically you mix, I don't know if you can see Mr. Faulkner, put some out, fine powder, almost looks like a little bit like lead shavings from like a pencil. What we do is we mix that in equal parts with sugar. Just sugar out of your cupboard, what your mum and dad put in their coffee, and you grind it together on a hard surface, obviously not a wood table because you've set it on fire, but on a rock, and you grind it together, mix it and grind it together with a knife. So you have sugar and your potassium permanganate or Condy's crystals, and by doing this it would produce a spark like you saw with the steel wool, and from that, it's where we light what you'd light your kindling with, and hopefully, potentially, start a fire to cook your food. Next one, we won't be able to show you either because there's no sun. It's the magnification method. But Cadet Faulkner, if you pick up that compass, on the end is a little magnifying glass. You could use your glasses if you're wearing glasses, or a piece of plastic, or a mirror, a small signaling mirror. Yeah, a glass bottle. If you've got a glass bottle in your car, might be an empty glass bottle, Coke bottle or something in your car. And basically, when the sun's shining, we magnify the rays into a small pinpoint on our top of our kindling, and apply a little bit of soft blowing, so for your oxygen, and hopefully you'll be able to start a fire. It all depends on how good of sun we have, but obviously we don't have any at the moment. Another method, Cadet Faulkner, flint and steel. So quite often it's a magnesium. So if you didn't show you that, so yeah, you've got to use the end. So basically we're putting this metal onto the magnesium, and we're creating a spark. And it's with that spark, you're gonna give it a go, Cadet Faulkner?
Yeah.
We would obviously do it nice and low down near our tinder pile, and hopefully with the spark, come on, you've got to be rough. Hey, there we go. Well done. Hopefully from that we will start a fire. So these are really handy to have, and if you've got a little bit of a survival kit for when you go bush, these are really handy because they don't take up much room, and quite very easily. All the times we've gone on a cadet camp and we've done this activity, you've always lit a fire with this one. Next couple of methods are our hand methods. We might pop back into the PowerPoint. Alright, so we're going to talk about the FIBO method. So this is stuff that you should be able to find in the bush. So that's the pitch demonstration picture there. So it's all wood, and you've got your little bow, and the string you use for your bow could be a bootlace, could be a piece of string, it could be the string out of the top of your hoodie, out of your jacket, so anything you can sort of find. So the bow, if you get in the picture here, here's your bow here, and it can be used any branch of a tree. Obviously you want to have a bit of a spring in it, so you don't want it to be completely dead, so when you go to pull it a little bit it breaks, so it has to be a little bit of light, like a bit green is what they call it. Socket, so this is the socket up the top, so we're holding it, we'll show you this all outside, and that's usually a piece of hardwood, and you use it to hold the top of the drill, so it allows it to rotate. Your fireboard, which is this bit at the bottom, this is usually a softer piece of wood. You want it to be soft because you want little shavings of wood to come off, and that's the hot stuff that potentially lights your tinder and char cloth. You usually cut a small groove. You can see the little groove in here, and that's where all your little shavings fall off onto your tinder, and then the drill, obviously, it's a dry wood here as well. And I'll just run through the plough method as well, so we don't have to come back in. Same sort of thing, fire plough method, so you've got a soft wood on the bottom, same as the bow drill method, which you've made a little groove in. You've got your hardwood at the top, and you basically just rub it backwards and forwards, creating friction and heat, and little shavings will fall off onto the end. You should have your tinder and your char cloth or whatever it is down here. So can you remember? So we've got our fireboard, Mr. Faulkner, I don't know if you can see. We've already made a groove in here. So this is where we would put our tinder or our char cloth. There's a little groove here where our drill goes. Cadet Faulkner, we've got our drill. It's actually a piece of a grass tree. It's that big thing prong that sticks up in the middle. And we've made a little bit of a point on the end. We've got our bow, and we've used a bootlace. So that's what we had on hand at the time. Took our bootlace off. We can always put it back on once we finish starting fire. So, and a socket. Where's our socket? There you go. So that's the piece that sits on top. Little socket, so we're not having to drill into our hand. So here we go, Cadet Faulkner. See if you can.
Lefty, gotta go.
Oh, you're a lefty. You're backwards the other way. There we go. So you give it a go. Nah, you gotta hold this bit here. Go. There we go. So as he's doing that, he's got to apply a little bit more friction here. The wood's turning, the drill's turning, which will create heat and friction down here. And as he's doing this, little bits, little shavings will be falling off of. Keep going. Don't hold it so hard on top. As he's drilling, creating heat and friction, little hot shavings will be falling off down onto potentially your tinder or your char cloth. Char cloth is a really good thing. It's a bit like cotton wool, but it's dried out. And hopefully, we would start a fire. The other method we discussed was the plough method. So we've also up the other end, we've dug out a bit of a groove. It's getting a bit dark out here, so hopefully you can see this groove that we've created.
Just take the bowl.
Yeah, and we could just use the drill that we used for the spindle method, and then all we're doing is just rubbing it backwards and forwards, creating friction, creating heat. So if you were to touch that now, Cadet Faulkner, how warm is that?
Oh, it's getting warmer.
Yeah, so it gets quite hot. I don't know if you can see on there, and see the little shavings falling off. So these would be hot, and you'll have your tinder here, or your char cloth, and hopefully, if you work hard enough, a little bit of friction, create a fire. So these are a little bit more difficult methods. We have a lot more. You have to work a little bit more on these methods, but if it's what you've got and it works, that's what you want to do. Over the next however many weeks we have to do online training, we're going to build survival kits at home. The Bob Cooper survival kit, this is how big Bob's is. Okay, so yeah, Bob suggested a soap container. You know those old soap containers that you use to pack your soap when you go camping? One of those. Old school, we've got, if you've got one of these lying around, I don't think you will. But this is a little pouch, old military style pouch that goes on your web belt, something like that. Little Tupperware container even. Your mum probably got Tupperware maybe. Don't steal your mum's Tupperware, make sure you ask first. But try and find something about this big that you can use. See, this one's good because it's got a shiny bottom. So we can use that for magnification, we can use that for signaling. But if you don't have one of those, whatever works. Also, if you can, you might have one already at home, maybe a flint and steel or something you can use to light a fire with. So maybe you can use a magnifying glass, put a magnifying glass in there. I've got a flint and steel in this one. So we can use that. What else could you use? Bottom of a compass if you've got one of the magnifying compasses. Cadet Faulkner's got another little survival kit here. Same sort of size. Bush tracks. This is a proper bought one. So yeah, we want a tin and something that you can light fires with, and then maybe some cotton wool. Like these are cotton wool pads. You'll probably have cotton wool somewhere in your bottom. They're little cotton wool balls. They're good to use as tinder. So you break them up a little bit and you use them to start a fire. But you can also use these for first aid. So we set you a task for next week. So obviously not all of you are going to be able to do this, but serve a search around home. It doesn't have to be these exact items. Have a think about it. Post back to us. Post some photos online. Show us what you've got. Show us what you collected. You know, you should all have some cotton wool or something like this, or cotton buds that you can pull the ends off of, and something you can start using to start a fire with. So there are our first 2 items. Next week we'll give you 2 more. But that's our session for tonight, guys. I'm glad you all tuned in for our online training. We've got a few sessions lined up. Next week we're going to do, hopefully, a bit of navigation with you. I'm going to send some worksheet home tonight via email. So if you could get time, open that up and have a look. And maybe work through them if you know the answers. If not, we're going to talk about some 4-figure and 6-figure good references next week. And we'll work through that. And we'll have a look at what you've got in your survival kits. Thank you for joining us tonight,
Awesome.
and we look forward to seeing your videos and your photos, and seeing you all back next week.